Hello and welcome to our new show, The Talking Circle. And we have a couple of guests with us here in the studio today. Let me make sure that my outline. Okay, there you are, folks. Hi, ladies. Welcome to the new show.
Thank you for having us.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for having us.
If we could just introduce each other from the left to right or however you guys want to do it, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Liz Hodge, Arapaho Voice. Our logo is to restore transparency, restore accountability, and restore empowerment. That's what this is all about, right?
Yep.
Great. Who's next?
Hi, my name is Jessica Swallow. I'm an enrolled member of the Eastern Shoshone Tribe. I do grassroots organization and all that.
Awesome. Next.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Wagon. I'm Northern Arapaho tribal member, grassroots, advocating, and an activist for MMIR 307, for missing murdered Indigenous relatives, grassroots for fighting for our land, water, air, and always embracing our neighbors to protect our sovereignty and our tribal treaties and obligations.
Fantastic. What an awesome, stellar group of ladies we have in the studio today. Hey, we had a protest on the 8th of October that really kind of sent ripples through the community. Do you guys want to kind of expound on that? What was that all about?
Well, evidently, Liz and I did a podcast going over the informational meeting that our Northern Arapaho tribe held. And then within that podcast, we received a message of what is a slush fund. So our neighbors reached out and believe the slush fund for the Wind River for both tribes is Circle Ridge, which is a Wind River intertribal issue. So we got the call out of action to come on up, protest for transparency and accountability. So we showed up.
Yeah, uphold the resolutions.
Yeah, I tuned into your guys' podcast and I listened to the episode, and concerning is putting it lightly. So we reached out to each other and we said, let's just go for it. Let's start the process now. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So let's get the ball rolling.
Awesome. Fantastic. So one thing I forgot to do before I got started was to do the welcome and my disclaimer. So I'm sorry. I'm going to have to back up just a little bit. I got all excited there. Okay. So let's go over the disclaimer. We do not represent the tribes. We are exercising our individual sovereignty. We are tribal members who live and work on the Wind River Indian Reservation. We are representing ourselves. We are exercising our freedom of speech, freedom of press, and freedom of expression, which is a protected right. Personal opinion versus defamation. Defamation is spreading false information with the intent of intentionally hurting someone. And we are not in the business of doing that. I am not responsible, and Anubis Communications LLC is not responsible for the guests' opinions and comments. Are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. So we were talking about the protest, and there were different reasons for people being out there and protesting. And the ladies were going over their different issues and that sort of thing. And we left off with Jessica. Did you want to continue the conversation with the protest conversation?
Yeah, I'll add some more to it. We were out there to put an end to the corruption. Slush fund, what is that? First of all, there's no accountability. we've been tracking down papers for years and years now. It took a long time for the Energy Commission paperwork to come out, so we can get into that later. Hearing your guys' public informational take was highly concerning. Shoshone Business Council was a no-show to their own informational meeting, so it's like, what the hell is really going on? And so for us, that's why we're out there, is we want accountability, we want financial transparency. We want to know what is going on. I'm tired of having to read the newspaper and find out about stuff weeks later. We have no input. And it's affecting every single department, from our healthcare to the courts to our smaller programs, and it's ridiculous. At this point, and it's been happening before this, obviously, but it's like the women and the kids and our older people are the ones that are getting hurt. And so we are standing up for the people who can't stand up. There's a lot of people who want to be whistleblowers that are working jobs and they can't speak up because they will lose their employment.
Yeah.
And so every time we stand up, it gives other people courage, it gives them hope, and people reach out to us. So I don't mind standing up and letting people know, like, we're here to fight for you and we're here to protect you. Anybody who wants to send in information, we protect your whistleblowing rights and everything. And we will literally put our bodies in front of you. So that's why we always show up.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So one of the first things that you wanted to talk to on your agenda today was the per capita situation. Do you want to kind of give a rundown or what you wanted to share as far as the per capita situation?
Okay, there has been a lot of questions about our per capita law. I know on the Shoshone side, we have been trying to track this down since they announced they were taking over our oil fields.
Mm-hmm.
And so there definitely is some, I would say, hanky-panky going on with our funds. I know on Shoshone side, they label our Circle Ridge payments as welfare checks.
Mm.
And so we have a couple things going on with our per capita law. The argument is that since the tribes took over the lease and that it's no longer being overseen by the BIA, that supposedly they don't have to go by this law, right? But that doesn't make any sense because this per capita law was passed by Congress. And so it would take another act of Congress to do away with this per capita law. In the past, we've actually had a business council member travel all the way to Washington, D.C. and to try to get the 8515 law taken away. Obviously, that didn't go through, and then that person wasn't elected anymore. But this isn't something new. This has kind of been like an old playbook of trying to get away from this 8515. And it's pretty upsetting because, the story of how we even got this per capita law passed is our old tribal members. They saved up for months and months. They were saving literally pennies so they could have enough fare to get on the train to go to Washington, D.C. and advocate for us. So it's pretty upsetting that almost 100 years later, we have people who are just looking for loopholes, looking for legal loopholes around this. Our old people fought for us to have these laws.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we need to get down to the bottom of this is the business councils had to have signed something with the BIA We need to get down to those papers and see why they can claim that this is under the 8515, because it just does not make any sense. The rationale behind it seems like lies.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that is a good segue into the resolution that you guys came across and have been sharing. Did you want to go over kind of explaining what this resolution is about?
Do you guys want to?
Well, I want to talk back real quick about the 8515 law.
Okay.
Since that's the law, and kudos to Eastern Shoshone tribe, at least they call theirs welfare benefit. I mean, if everybody follows the history with Northern Arapaho tribe, they didn't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
It was special payment. It was per cap. It was how many changes?
3 or 4.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right, Liz?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, they don't even know what the heck to call it.
Yeah, and then in between there, they decided that if the tribal members had a loan, they were going to take $50 out of your grant or your per capita or whatever they were calling it. No, but then they were never authorized to do that either.
Yeah, because I don't recall any of this. Any kind of distribution plan even brought to the Northern Arapaho General Council. Not any members over 18 signed anything to give them that right. There's so many mishaps of the $50 being taken out when they don't even have a loan. Some people have reached out that they still haven't received the $50. The big hiccup last year for the 300 in December with the routing number. I mean, was that a mess? Or how much that cost us for that huge mess? Extra checks, right? Printed off, man work, overtime hours to fix that. And then a lot of people have reached out to us recently. They did take their check to the bank institution. It has not been honored. They still haven't received their $300. Not only that, it created such a hardship for our members with the bank institution fees,
Charging
costs, charges, and nobody's talking about it, right? So recently, we just now got a $150 payment one time this year that nobody's talking about. And it's really interesting, this payment for 2025, we didn't get $50 taken out. I mean, how come nobody's talking about this? So with that being said, I got a call out for help where non-custodial received the payment versus when this is all on our enrollment side, all the court orders, all the legitimate addresses are in that office where that person was receiving $10 per capita, and they couldn't understand the logistics of not receiving the $150. And then they stated it was the system's fault. It's the system's fault. I'm like, no, I don't believe so, because if they're getting the $10 per cap, how do you justify the $150? These are all red flags. And they manually have to put in the addresses and everything into the system. So you can't blame the system. Something's wrong here. So I said, well, what's your solution to this issue? Because this affects a child. And so I guess their solution was, we are going to write a letter to the non-compliant that you are not to receive this. Future payments you will not receive unless you pay it back. and they went ahead to send out another check for the child to try to make it right. And then I don't know if others had to go through those obstacles, but it just feels like they make things up as they go along to put out the fires. I strongly believe that all Northern Arapaho tribal members should receive a refund of all payments that they've taken our $50 out without authorization. They had no right. They don't have papers that we all signed that they can take that out. So this is, of course, affecting all of us because two tribes on one reservation, and we all are stakeholders for this company, this business. So I strongly feel the leadership had no right doing that. I mean, do it the right way, be upfront, be transparent. Here's the papers. You need to sign this. This is what we're going to take. It's almost like people are over 18. If they want to go pay their loan note, they can. They're adults. And the crazy thing is, I imagine a lot of people would go pay it if it was a recognized bank
Lending institution.
institution. But everybody's got their own opinions. But the fact of the matter remains, we didn't sign anything for this business, and it affects all our tribal members. And you start asking the right questions, people start thinking of, hey, they had no right. So
absolutely. And in addition to that is the manpower and the man hours, because every single tribal member, they have to go through almost like a scrutiny of, okay, well, do they owe money here? Do you owe money there? And I think that's a huge overreach. I don't like to be weighed and measured and made to feel like I'm being analyzed by the tribe.
Right. So
interesting. Okay, so this is a huge problem, and totally agree. Is everybody comfortable with moving on to the resolution, because I think that'll kind of explain some things as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at the resolution. Let me bring up the whole one here, the whole shebang. Okay, so this is very interesting because this resolution says in the title of it, resolution authorizing and creating the Wind River Energy Commission as an intertribal, here's the key word, government agency. It doesn't say a business. It says a government agency. Don't you think the general counsel should have been kind of included in this type of interactions and transactions and dealings?
Absolutely. We're both resolutional tribes, and general counsel's the supreme governing body. Period.
Essentially with that type of language, they're updating our tribal law and order code almost. This is a whole entire new agency, and someone should have voted on it, at least by referendum or in general counsel.
Agree. Ms. Hodge, do you have input?
No, the only thing that stuck out in my mind is, you're talking about intertribal. I don't think that even that's illegal, because it was done away with in 2016, and
14.
then 14, and then these councils decided that they were going to come, or they got rid of joint first, and now here you are with intertribal. Right. I mean, who authorized these yahoos to do that? I don't know. We didn't.
Yeah, slap a Band-Aid on it. Slap a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah. So now here we come together, and they're getting what, $800,000 a month for each tribe.
Yeah.
And Where is all this money? That's what we want to know. Yeah, and this is all these resolutions. We got our own. Shoshone's got theirs. It's just, everything's just a what do you call it?
Dumpster fire?
Yeah, well, that works too. Yep. Yeah, and there's just absolutely no accountability, no transparency. You got these programs that before were on their own, and now we're funding them.
Right.
Intertribal's funding them.
That's
That's just
yeah.
that's just crazy. That's all I got to say about that.
Right. Right, exactly. So I understand the reasoning behind having intertribal, because there's joint monies out there that have to go to both tribes. So I get that, and maybe if they had explained that whenever they made the decision to come together and talk to the people and say, "Hey, we have these pots of money out here that we cannot touch as individual tribes. We only have access to these pots of money if we come joint together." I think the people would have been okay with that, as long as it was communicated and vetted and gone through the proper processes. What are your thoughts on that?
To me, the whole finding out intertribal was reformed. We found out in the newspaper. There's no meeting, there's nothing. We found out in the newspaper, and you're like, nobody directed the chairman at the time to go sign those papers. There was a lot of things that needed to be addressed. The same issues that were there before in joint are still existing in intertribal. When we were doing the Shoshone Business Council election interviews for new council members, it did come out that intertribal didn't even change their tax number. They still have the same tax number they're using under Joint Business Council. So if you pull up the MOU, I'm telling you, every single piece of documentation that we have pulled up, there is discrepancies within it. I found the MOU for the intertribal, and at the end of that MOU, it says that the tribes need to come together and extend the MOU, or it expires in 2 years. So that's something that we need to take another look at. Did they ever extend that MOU? Because during 2019, things were pretty crazy. The tribes were super broke. And I have that MOU on the timeline. It pushed out a bunch of paperwork on us.
Yeah, and when she pushed that out, I'm not sure who the two chairmen were for 2021, but at the same time, this wasn't brought forth to the Northern Arapaho tribe for everybody to be able to understand. And then the separation, the key word, just like you said, is government. Now, this is a business, and what we're hearing is they do not implement the 85-15 rule, and they make up something like 40-something, 45, 55. We don't know what they feel like for the day, right? We don't know. So that's why we came together, again, to speak up for others that cannot speak up in fear of retaliation, for our elders, everybody in the middle, the children and the unborn, because this is a business that we're in it together, and we need some answers. And with the Wind River Energy Commission, what we understand with that is they overturn it every 2 years, right? So what we found out was the previous council lock them in before they're ousted or not reelected. And then there's the commission seats are going to be coming open, I think, August, September of next year. Don't quote me on the month. but it's going to be up to the elected officials now for these seats. But I strongly feel that the commission seats are not lifetime seats either. They need to be overturned in order to not have any kind of collusion going on for this business.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, I've been going to the Wind River Energy Commission meetings, and one thing that I find missing from the slides is how much of our oil money is going to Intertribal Council and those programs or those salaries.
There you go.
yep.
Yeah, the new slush fund.
Yeah, and
Right.
and so just like Liz stated earlier, before the oil, there was like Miss Jessica stated, joint business council. Now it's called intertribal, but
Mhm.
let's talk about a little bit of history. Joint business council, all those programs were under that, right? The tarot,
Mhm.
the transportation. What other ones are under there? There's a whole list of them.
Head Start, the courts.
Right, the courts. So that's all under that.
Mhm.
And then they were all up and going, running under their grants that were allotted to them, right?
Mhm.
Now, here comes the oil,
Mhm.
here comes the oil boom. And that should be separated from those joint programs. Those are to be self-sufficient. This is a business that affects 2 tribes and to be flowing down to the members here. Each and every one
Yeah,
of
I
us,
absolutely agree. I was
each and every one
HR.
of our stakeholders.
Yeah, I was HR for Intertribal, and I saw some of the funding, and those joint programs were not cutting it. They had a little slush fund while I was there. I'm not sure where it came from. It wasn't the oil, but they had a couple $1 million and it was a slush fund, and they kept dipping into it. And if a program was up short or something like that, or the Christmas bonuses, they would dip into it. And we got to do something with the new software system, the new counting a software system. Let's dip into that. And I'm there like, you know what? There's going to be an end to this. There's not going to be any more money to dip into. And lo and behold, that's when the oil came around. I left soon, right before the oil monies came in, so I'm not sure where they're going now. But they've always had to have like some kind of pot of money to keep Intertribal going, and that's a problem. That's mismanagement.
And when's the last time we passed an audit?
Little fun fact, Intertribal has never been audited for 100 years. Another essential program that it hasn't even been included for Intertribal is our environmental quality control board. Is it board or department? Yeah, that was never reinstated. It's not in the in the updated MOU that they.
That is true. Yep.
And that's part of what happened too during the split is we were in court over that EPA boundaries case. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the 2014 split, we didn't even have a environmental quality anything. So that was a big dink on us for that case.
Yep.
So it's just frustrating all the way around.
Yes, absolutely. So did we want to end this part of the conversation with any kind of suggestions on how to move forward?
Yeah, with the Wind River Energy Commission, we're not able to really ask questions either.
Yeah.
I mean, they come on in, they do this real beautiful PowerPoint, but if you ask a question, you're immediately labeled political.
Mhm.
I had a commissioner come up to me at the Wind River Casino, and he said, "You're out of here. You're out of here. We're not going to have no politics in this meeting." And my thought to that was, he jerked the microphone out of my hand, and my thought was, keep the microphone. I'm
Mhm.
still going to stand up. I'm still going to speak out. I am full-blooded Northern Arapaho, and I'm staying.
Mhm.
And so I stood my ground to keep on asking the right questions. And evidently the questions I were asking, which were environmental, many questions, I did my homework, they couldn't even answer.
Hmm.
So they were legitimate questions, but no commissioner has a right to throw anybody out.
Wow.
But you're ruffling feathers when you ask questions. And so now lately when they present, you're really not able to ask anything. I mean, I went to another oil meeting to where Miss Nicole, you got to leave. Your children are not over 18 years old. And I'm like, okay, well, the other people serving food aren't Northern Arapaho. Have them leave first, because my kids have a right more so to be in here. It isn't like they were going to take notes and go, do trade secrets to China or something.
Mhm.
So they're innocent children. They didn't bother anybody, but you got these people going out there putting all these flyers out, 18 years and older, and you have to be a Northern Arapaho tribal member. Doggone, they put their own flyer out and they're violating their own flyer.
Mhm.
I mean, what the heck? So it's just, I stayed. I told them to call the cops, remove me. They didn't
Mhm.
call the cops because I know my rights.
Right.
And we stayed for the meeting.
Good, good. So, final thoughts on the how to move forward, or what are your thoughts on moving forward with this definite issue problem?
Do you want to go? I got a whole spill.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Amen.
so for me, number one, we have to get down to the bottom of this paperwork. Every single thing that we pull up, the paperwork is a mess. This Energy Commission resolution is a total freaking mess. They write loopholes into every single piece of paperwork. Even in this Energy Commission, if you start reading through the fine print, we can't even remove or appoint any of the commissioners because they haven't written into the rules that they're appointed by business council and they can only be removed by the people who appointed them. So that's something that needs to be addressed within that document. Another thing that needs to be addressed is the oversight on those bank accounts. I can't see the full thing. Anyways, the way the paperwork reads is the only oversight we have on our Circle Ridge and our Steamboat accounts is that it's just the CFO who's hired there. Okay, that's a huge problem. There needs to be more oversight on that. Them being a government agency, that's so they can say that we have sovereignty and we're immune from you guys being able to sue us. And while I understand, both ends of the sword, there still needs to be some kind of accountability in there. And for us, we are going to start on the Shoshone side. We are already hosting our first public meeting this week. We are doing a public call to action. We are gathering documents for justice. We want you to bring in your papers, bring in any documentation that you have. We are collecting everything that we can. The paperwork that we have already shows huge abuse of power. We don't have processes. And we didn't get any input or say onto any of this stuff that we're being governed by. So we need to get in there. We need to help change our own laws, and we need to keep digging down and gathering evidence. So even though our meeting on Thursday will be Shoshone centered, our goal in hosting these meetings is so that we can get an idea of how we can help both tribes, and then tackle it right down the middle for intertribal, and how we can whatever we're able to do and figure out on our side, we can share it with you guys, so you guys can implement that on your guys' side, because right now we are not operating on 2 sets of different laws. We're like operating on like 3 or 4 different sets of laws. You know, Shoshones have their own laws. Rappos have their own laws. Then somewhere in the middle is intertribal, and then SALOC, because they don't even go by SALOC. So that's why I said we're operating on a couple different sets of laws, and we got to start tying up these loopholes in all of our documents and our processes.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So this timeline that you have drafted here, am I allowed to post that on the Facebook page?
I'm gonna ask you not to post it yet, just
Okay.
because I'm a perfectionist. I need to plug some holes up in there.
Okay, did you want to talk about it briefly?
Yes, so thank you for bringing this in. So one of the things that we have done on the Shoshone side is we have been actively creating and gathering a paper trail. And so this oil timeline is a perfect instance of creating a paper trail. So this was one of our tactics for our strategy, was that they were not giving us any information. So we had to literally create some kind of paper trail for us to follow. This oil timeline that I've created, I have its source and link to the direct sources. I pulled all the laws. We actually were never, neither of the councils let any of the tribal members know anything that was going on during this process. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was really important to pull up the law cases that, they're public information, and create a timeline that lets us know what's going on. Because for the first two years, we have no idea what was going on. If you start looking at the small print, we didn't even know that the tribes were trying to take over on our oil fields until 2021. But if you look at the timeline, Merritt was already suing MI3 clear back in 2020. So how long has MI3 been on the reservation? These are important things that we need to be asking, and because we don't have the paper trail, creating this outline gives us perfect time points that we can ask questions about. Because also during this point, Leslie Shakespeare became the Rocky Mountain Regional Director, and we're wondering, how are they getting all this stuff passed through? We need to start getting down to the end of these questions, because at some point, higher up people than the business councils had to approve this stuff. So there has to be paperwork, and we are going to get down to the bottom of it.
Awesome. This is a really good, well done paper. So as soon as you get it finalized, or you feel comfortable with sharing it, please do, because I will definitely post it out there for sure. All right, ladies. So we are getting to a good rounding out closing point. There is going to be a community meeting tomorrow, Rocky Mountain Hall. It's from 5:30 to 7:30. Bring in all of your paperwork, your paper trails, and your voice because they want to hear from you. Final thoughts.
I just want to say, for those that can't attend the meetings but still have information to share, I mean, just look us up on Facebook and message through Messenger. We get a lot of documents that way, and it works, for Nicole, Jessica, and myself, any of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Get it in.
So, I mean, I liked Liz's poster with no to MI3.
Mhm.
They take everything off the top. And they need more meetings to where people can ask questions for transparency so people understand. A lot of people do not understand the process, what's going on, and it's a shame. They're stakeholders. They own this. So, I mean, we're crossing some lines here for kind of a dictatorship form. That's how I see it.
Totally. And more to follow. This is an exciting new show. This is one topic, I hope one of many going forward. But until next time, folks, stay safe out there. All my relations.